Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Be Dynamic Podcast. We're here today with Jacquie Jaeger. Did I say that right, Jacquie? I didn't even ask you.
You did. Yeah. I was waiting to see.
Very good. I'm your host, Maggie Topham. This is a place where science meets soul, and we like to talk about subjects that contribute to your lifestyle change and how you can live your very best life. So, before we get started, I want to give you just a little background of how I know Jacquie. What's it been, about two months, maybe?
2 months. Yeah.
Okay, so I've been working with Dynamic for a while, and I got a call from the CEO, Evan Gray, and he said, "We've got this great marketing person." And Jacquie, you're a performance marketing expert. Is that correct?
I am. Yes.
And she is, in the 2 months I've known her, she has proven that over and over again. So this is an interesting take on what Dynamic does. And I think Jacquie has a very interesting story that you'll relate to, that we all have health and fitness come into our life in different ways, different awakenings. And I'm guessing I don't know a lot about this story because I did that on purpose because I knew it authentically happened. So Evan called me and said, "I just had a very interesting call with Jacquie, and I think you need to capture her story on camera." So that's what brought us to this point today. And so, Jacquie, as we get started, just give us a little bit about your background. Tell us a little bit about you so we understand, however this change or this light bulb moment happened, uh, we can appreciate and understand where you're coming from, see it through your lens. So tell us a little about yourself.
Well, thank you for that introduction. In the short time that I've known you and been working with Dynamic, I've had an incredible journey working with the team. Everybody is so welcoming and an expert in their field. So I really appreciate your welcome introduction. I was talking to Evan. Well, I guess how this came together was a referral through a client of mine that I've been working with for 4 years, is Evan's really good friend. And he said, you need to work with him and you guys need to have this conversation. So I immediately, as a digital marketer does, went on the website and started fishing around and came across Evan's video, which really spoke to me in so many terms. First and foremost was the vertigo that he was experiencing. And not a lot of people, or I would say a lot of people, think it's fake or it is a panic attack, and they don't really understand what vertigo really does to a person. And hearing Evan's story really touched me on a level that really no one has been able to kind of understand my journey by having a similar journey. So I thought immediately I either need to start working with him or start paying more attention to peptides and how that can help people, specifically B12. This goes back probably, my vertigo story goes back probably 3 years, I would say, or four. And I won't really get into all the ins and outs of that, but it started around the COVID timeframe.
Okay.
And having taken the shot, I don't know if you want to get into that or not, but what that shot did to me,
I would
put
love to
me,
know. Yes, please
yeah.
elaborate.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, I'm like, I don't know if you really want to get into that, but once I took the shot, I started with severe vertigo and debilitating vertigo. So I went from a very active person being able to work out 2 to 3 times a day. I have 3 dogs. I walk 4 to 5 times a day. I am a prior ballet dancer athlete, which people don't categorize ballet dancing as an athlete, but it really is.
I am as well. We are athletes, girl. We are.
Yeah, we are athletes, right? So the way you put your body through it as you age, you are just innately in that zone where I can work out and push my body to ultimate limits, to ultimately being debilitated on the sofa
Wow.
for 2 to 3 months at a time, not being able to stand, not having balance, not being able to walk my dogs. And it made me severely nauseous to where I would throw up and then pass out for 4 hours at a time and wake up somewhat okay, but with what I would call a vertigo hangover. So I still was
Interesting.
imbalanced for 2 to 3 days after. So this lasted on and on. I went to three general practitioners, an ENT, doing every single method that they say, and they're like, well, this must be a result of the shot.
So they had openly admitted that.
Yeah, because no one, the studies were early on and nothing worked at all. Right. So they were tilting my head back and forth. I think it's the Ipsily maneuver. I always
Yes.
say
The
wrong.
crystals doing
Yeah,
all
adjusting
those
the
maneuvers.
crystals.
Okay.
Everybody's like, you need to have this done. I've had acupuncture, I've had everything. And then I started working on my vestibular and trying to strengthen my vestibular. And that was probably last year because the movement with the vestibular, because people say it can be your vestibular muscle in the back of your
Okay.
neck that is tight with toxins, lymph nodes, whatever. So, regardless of that, I've just navigated this journey. And what that journey I thought was anxiety, right? That was leading to this vertigo. And now that I have moved from Los Angeles to Arizona, I'm in a very peaceful Zen environment and was able to focus on myself more than the work and the outside elements that I thought were affecting me. When I heard Evan's story that it was B12, because I had just been to Los Angeles and just had this horrible episode where I was out walking my dogs. I came back that night. I got severe vertigo and was out for like a week straight, and I couldn't do anything.
So
And
how often would you get these vertigo episodes?
right. In the first year after getting the COVID shot, it lasted for 2 to 3 months ongoing, and then it would go for about 3 weeks, and then it would stop for 2 weeks. But that was
Okay.
a 3 month journey. At the same time, my husband was traveling for work, so he wasn't there. And I think when I told him, like, I can't do anything, I can't drive, I was taking Ubers, neighbors were
Wow. So
helping me
this affected your daily lifestyle
100%.
dramatically.
Dramatically, and it was awful. And the only thing I could attribute it to at the time was the shot because that was the only thing that I had done
That had
differently.
changed. Okay.
Yeah. And just a little short story to get you to where we are now is in 2009, I had a very bad um, health scare, I would call it. I had been traveling, I got the flu. I took penicillin over the counter that you can get in other countries that you can't get in the States. And then just really shortly after taking that, about 3 weeks, I started breaking out in what I thought were hives all over my body. And I'll make the story really short, but it really wasn't. I had gone to the emergency room 3 times. They're like, it's hives. They gave me an injection and sent me home. It turned out to be Steven Johnson syndrome.
Oh my word. Okay.
And I nearly died,
Can you
which is a
tell us a
very,
little about what Stephen Johnson syndrome
yes,
is?
Steven Johnson syndrome is a side effect from penicillin and sulfite drugs, which your body interacts and rejects. So your body, the layers of the skin, burn itself from the inside out. So
Oh,
the
okay.
rash that I thought was hives was the Steven Johnson's rash. And so your whole body inflames. Most people end up in the burn unit with severe burns on their body, and it has a 75 to 80% fatality rate. So, what I did differently
Wow.
was
Okay.
when this rash started to take over my body, I immediately went to my acupuncturist, who we identified this as Stephen Johnson's because it was not normal hives and it was a burning, severe burning sensation. They weren't itchy, they were burning.
So they would send you with
Steroid
some
shot.
Benadryl, something sent
Yeah,
you away,
Benadryl,
and it
steroid
wouldn't even touch
shot,
it.
not touch me
Okay.
at all. Oh,
Okay.
there's nothing wrong with you. Emergency room. It's just hives. You're having an allergic reaction. Boom,
And
go home.
even though the normal hive treatment didn't do anything, they still said it was hives.
They still said it was high,
Okay.
so would not go any further than that, right?
Okay.
So finally, I just said, I've had enough. This isn't working. I'm in severe pain. This isn't getting better because it started like a rash on my leg and grew all over my body, right? From feet to the top of my head. My
Wow.
head started swelling. Oops.
Close
Um,
that Zoom.
yeah, get that zoom out.
Yeah. Right as you
You
said,
want me
my
to do
head started swelling.
Yeah, so my head started swelling. So I didn't want to get too much into this. I don't want to absorb a lot of time. So that will just take us to where we are. So regardless of that, really quickly to end that story, I went to my acupuncturist. He gave me medicine. He told me to go home, take Benadryl. He did acupuncture bedside, walked me through my throat swelling to near death and my throat and being covered in head to toe swelling. You could not recognize me. I could not do anything. I was covered in this rash, which left a marks for 3 months going all over my body, like burn marks on my face, like red lines, whatnot. So I survived. Let's just put it that. And then I made a self uh note to myself to never go back to Western medicine. I did not eat sugar. I did not drink. I went vegan for 8, 9 years to keep it dormant because it can live dormant in your body up to a year to 2 years and
At this point,
reactivate.
sorry to interject. At this point, had you put it together that it was the penicillin that you
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. We
All right.
had, because it was like, what did you do differently? I'm not on any medication and I didn't need to be, So the only thing I had put differently in my body at that time was that.
Okay. And you would
So
told the doctors when you would go to you would tell them this and still just said it.
nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I was having a lot of
I'm just
other
amazed.
issues.
That's why I keep going back to that. I'm like,
I'm
I
not though. I mean, I'm really not. So it is a typical thing that if this isn't going to work, then they'll keep non-treating you and masking what is really happening in your body and trying to cover up with medication. So after that journey, I just said, no, I'm only doing herbal. I'm only doing Ayurvedic, acupuncture. So I am very all natural and I only go Western to get my annual to check my blood work. And then anything that is wrong, I will take to an acupuncturist or an Eastern medicine person, unless it's severe things that, they can't treat. But I am treated with herbs only and acupuncture. And I've been that way since 2009, right? So that kind of takes us to where we are now. So when I did get the shot, it was against everything in my body because I know how my body reacts to everything. It will go the complete extreme than just a normal person. So that just kind of tells you I was reluctant, but based on my husband's profession, he had to get the shot because he's in the film industry, and I didn't want to get COVID and then give him something where it would, jeopardize him.
so you were backed
So
into
regard
the corner, like many of us, and did what you needed to do. Uh-oh, you froze.
and
Oh, sorry, you froze for a minute.
did I?
Are
Okay,
we good now?
we're
Yes.
good
So
now.
I
Yeah.
so I just pointed out that you were backed into a corner and were needed to do what the rest of us needed to do to continue
Yeah, I was
our
backed
daily
into a
life.
corner. Yeah, so I've just been navigating this journey, whether it is my own health, it is my vertigo, or it is now, I'm in menopause and I don't need to disclose that. So I'm having all sorts of kind of things, right? So I saw Evan's video and I rushed out and got the B12. We're, in addition to that, I moved to a very serene environment to get myself out of an anxiety-ridden environment. And that helped tremendously. So in the year that I've lived here in Arizona, I've had 0 episodes of vertigo. Right.
Really?
So when I went, yeah,
So
um,
that was the factor.
I think it's anxiety, right? But then I went back and there weren't really that many triggers and I got it again. And I think it is just a culmination of anxiety and then a vitamin deficiency. Because I will say, every time I get my blood work, in addition to not having help in an emergency situation, when I've been diagnosed with a vitamin deficiency over the years, it's been pernicious, it's been vitamin B, it's been iron. They'll just say, go get some vitamins. It's not like this is what we can do and how we can treat this. It's just you're left to navigate what type of vitamin. Is this going to work? All those things like, okay, just go get a vitamin. That vitamin depends on the quality of the vitamin that I can get based on what I can afford. So I feel really bad for people that can't afford great vitamins, right? Because it does a lot more damage than it does good sometimes.
I
Um,
believe that. And it's a huge waste of money when your
it's a
body,
huge waste of money,
yes,
right?
your body can't even utilize what.
Doesn't absorb it. There's so many things that come with that. And so hearing just a small part of my journey, my body isn't accepting those vitamins. Um, so here I am, drinking vitamins away, with AG1, and then come to find out that AG1 is loaded with all these harsh heavy metals. So I had severe rashing from that.
Wow. So you've got a
And
very,
a
and
highly
it's,
sensitive body.
yes, and hearing this from the outside in, it sounds horrific, but really, what a blessing this could be because your body is always telling you what it needs.
It
So,
is 100%, right? Yeah.
yes.
So I'm listening to it and I'm hearing the journey. So I rush out and got to bring us to where we are now, just kind of like shorten the stories, which we can elaborate probably on a different podcast because I could take up a whole hour on that.
Well, this is so interesting.
It is a very interesting because I don't even think Evan knows the half of it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So there is a multitude of things that I could talk about with that COVID shot that did to women that they would not discuss until recently, which I kept telling my gynecologist and general practitioner that there are things happening that this never happened before, and it just jump started a whole harsh thing in my body. So we'll get to where we are now. So anyway, I did the B12 and the B12, I was expecting I'm going to have this amazing amount of energy. And it did the complete opposite. I came home and I slept for like 5 hours. And then I went back to the practitioner that was giving it. She goes, well, you were so depleted that we have to build up the supply. So once the supply is built of the B12, then you'll start to notice when you don't have it, your energy depletion. So I started getting it every 2 weeks and having the energy that I thought I should have, but with no real like huge bump, no side effects, just great, smooth, general energy that I like. I can work out 2 times a day. I can walk my dogs. I'm not like waking up sluggish, all of those things. But when I don't have it after 2 weeks, I start going back to that sluggish. I have to wake up at 5:30 because I live in a really hot environment to walk my dogs before it gets hot. So I can't wake up at 5:30. I'm pushing it to 6:30, so I've been on a every 2 week rotation of dosing of B12, and that's worked great. And then I started talking to Evan, I am a late menopause. I am 55. I just started getting into my peri, I would say when I was 54,
Okay.
late 53. And I'm in my hot flash zone where like I keep getting like severe hot flashes. And when you're living in 107 and you're hot flash, it is a bloody nightmare.
That's like menopause on turbo power.
Yeah, it
A
is.
hot
So,
flash on turbo.
yeah,
Yes.
so just imagine me. I'm on vitamins. They're not working. I'm having vertigo. I get B12. I feel great. And then now I'm starting to really want to deal with
And you
my
have quite the
menopausal
journey.
symptom.
And really, studies show that menopause, the average perimenopause is actually 10 to 15 years. So you probably were really along with everything else that was cascading down on you, you really were probably starting to have a huge decline, especially the stress your body was under in your hormones. So that probably, I would say,
Yeah.
magnified your situation even more so.
It kind of did. And I just was so reluctant to deal with those because everyone says so many things. And obviously, there's so many studies, but I just watched my friends and I watched the things that they were doing. And I don't know that they were doing a more natural environment. They were doing hormone replacement therapy with just a lot of coming from the Western part of it, which I never wanted to be a part of, obviously, for my reasons why. And
Yes,
seeing the
very valid.
inauthenticity of their personality change, right? Which I did not like, and I didn't want to have that. I just wanted to, I guess, feel my emotions.
Yes,
And I
important
don't
part of
mean
life.
I'm not an emotional type of woman. I'm not a crier, and so I'm not at that point in my menopause where I'll just look at something and cry. Well, I see a lot of people doing that. Nothing against that, but I'm just not that kind. When I say I want to sit in my emotions, that is not what I mean. I just didn't want to have this fake happiness, right? Because that's
Yes,
just not me. I'm a
yes.
very uh, dry sense of humor person. If people saw me always being happy, they would think there's something wrong with you.
She's on something, and they would
Yeah.
probably want what you were on.
Yeah, probably, right?
Yes.
Um, so I started working with you guys and I started seeing and listening to people's journey. And I think that's right where I'm at, where I did speak to a wellness counselor and I do want to
A
do a
wellness
lab
counselor
panel
at Dynamic.
at Dynamic. Yeah.
Okay. So at
Um,
what point, let's back up a little bit. At
yeah.
what point, we're sitting in these weekly meetings together and everyone's talking and we're trying to
Yeah.
word, what's the best way to sell this product. And so as we're going through this, you're just listening and kind of learning and understanding. Is that what
Yeah,
I'm
that's basically everything. I'm listening to everything that because we have Haley and Kaylee, who are the leads of the company, right? The wellness director and then the chief officer of the wellness.
Yes.
So
And
I'm
nurse
listening to them
practitioners, very
and they're
knowledgeable
nurse
in functional
practitioners,
medicine.
yeah, for functional medicine. And I'm hearing them, I'm hearing the patient stories, I'm listening to you. Because I'm managing social media, I'm watching all the advocates and I'm seeing all the energy levels and you in particular. And I love your content, right?
Oh,
So
that's so nice.
it
Thank you.
appeals to me because it is totally different than other content for women that I like. Maybe coming from an athlete to an athlete, it speaks to me.
Good.
Yeah.
I
So
appreciate that feedback.
yeah. And I think there's a lot of us out there that don't resonate with some of the content that's out there, right? So I wasn't finding anything for me until I came to Dynamic. And then I started finding things for me that made me feel less hesitant to try a peptide, less hesitant to go down that path, that the side effects would or will not be different. And whatever that is, there is someone there to understand what's happening to me versus giving me something like, oh, go try this vitamin and then you navigate it yourself, or here, take this medication and you go navigate it yourself, because that is the healthcare system right now,
Yes. Well, it's guesswork. Taking
right? Yeah,
medicine,
it's guesswork.
prescribing. Yes. And that's what I love about functional medicine is you
Right.
start off with your labs. Let's not guess. Let's test, not guess, see where we're at and go from there. So
Yeah. So I feel like there's a lot of us out there that just don't know how to navigate this journey. And we can go down the gynecological path, but that doesn't lead us to the same result, that you would get that Dynamic has by managing your hormone levels, looking at labs, looking at data. And I am a data-driven person. So
this
that
speaks to you.
resonates. Yeah, it speaks to me and it makes me want to go down that path. So I haven't taken that step, and I am doing the research right now to figure out with a sensitive person body. And that was my hesitancy. Like, I don't want to do this because I don't want to deal with the side effects, right? And
Yes.
I don't want to have that journey of having to deal with the side effects alone on top of all the other things that I've dealt with. I just came to that point in my life that anything new, I take like a really deep dive in, and it takes me a while to get to that point where I'm ready to try it just because I don't want to have to deal with things, right? Like,
Well, you have quite the history.
yeah,
So
I
I
do.
would say that's very wise from your side. And then also, so as you have been investigating or researching, are you feeling a little more, what's the word, inclined to take this route of maybe trying some bioidentical hormones and seeing how your body reacts? What have you found out? How are you feeling? Where are you leaning toward?
Yeah, I'm really leaning towards it. I spoke to a couple friends that have had similar journeys to mine, and they are doing the cream. And it's very easy. They rub it on their skin, they go to sleep, and they wake up feeling great. It's minimized the hot flashes. So I am leaning towards that route as an entrance route first. And I am really at that front door, ready to open it, of to getting the labs and going down the path of trying some of the things that dynamic offers, right? Because I think there are a lot of underlying things happening in my body that I don't know what they are. And hearing Evan's story that he has had an autoimmune illness since the age of 13. And he recently shared with me now that he's on peptides, he has none of those symptoms. So that made me think, okay, well, I've been in this vitamin deficiency zone for a very long time, and we don't know what that looks like with a multitude of symptoms from whatever's going on in my body. So I think it's time that we take a deep dive and look at it, and get something that Western medicine can't give me because they just stop at your regular panels.
Exactly. Yes,
Yeah,
this
and
is
tell me to
always,
go speak to a dietitian.
well,
Oh,
here
I have,
you are. You've been through this long journey. You're fine. So you've had about a year of pretty good health now.
yeah,
The vertigo's gone. You feel like
yes,
your energy's back. You're feeling more like yourself. And then wham, perimenopause, menopause hits you right in the forehead.
yeah,
So, so I'm glad you're being proactive and heading like head on. Like let's go get this. Because I think so many women wait until they fall off the cliff and then
yeah,
they've got to start from scratch. So if you can fill in the gaps, be proactive, get it before it knocks you off the cliff, then I think that transition is so much more lovely. It doesn't need to be as life-changing because it is for some women. They completely lose themselves. So
yeah,
it makes me happy to hear that you're recognizing these symptoms, even amongst everything that's been going on with your body. You're seeing, oh, this is starting now. And this happened. I mean, this happened to be right as you were working with Dynamic and seeing that oh, there are
yeah.
some nice doors that are opening for me right now. And if you tip your toe in, this might be really a great transitional part into your second half, the finale of our life,
Yeah.
right at the right time. So the timing of all of this is kind of magical. It's neat that that's happening and that you're recognizing that this might be a door that's opening for you.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I never would have gone down the path. I would have just had the reluctancy, because I'm a person, I don't want to rely on any medication to get the results I need, right? So I work out religiously, I meditate, I do all these things for self, and that just hit me. I hit a wall, like you said. I'm like, you reach a point in your life where you realize you kind of have to give in a little bit, to get to the next level. And I just was so, I think, rebellious against it.
And you had every reason to be. Nothing had served you
Yeah.
well in the other world so far.
Yeah, exactly. So far. So I think it'll be a great journey if we can get something that the B12 is working, So that kind of made me feel like if it's one thing, it's got to be another. Excuse me.
Yes. Yeah, it opened your mind to other possibilities that could really help to optimize your health. I
Yeah,
love
I think so. Yeah, and I think just talking to you a little bit more, or some other the advocates and that are within Dynamic and the wellness counselors, I think that's going to help me, open the front door to what the company has to offer. But I do think it's important to get the right message out to people, because I don't think that a lot of the messaging that's out there is right. I think, like you said, and I don't know what jumping off the cliff is, but I think a lot of people wait till that point and then they start talking about it. Nobody's talking about it before and really sharing some of those stories, or how they're, like myself, trying to positively move through it gracefully. You don't have to stop, you don't have to lean into it. You still can continue your own personal journey. But I don't think a lot of people have their personal journey carved out yet.
No, and I think it's been so normalized to this stage of
Yeah.
life feel awful and 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 that it's okay. And it
Yeah,
really, and I've told Evan this before too, that someone told me, you really, it's okay to just feel happy 50% of the time and to feel okay 50% of the time.
right,
Know who said that to me, but I clung to it because
right.
I wanted my 50%. I'm like, and now that I see it's so much more than that. We're really meant to feel pretty good most of the time.
Yeah.
No one ever told me that. And now that I
Aw,
realize that, I'm so sad that, and maybe I needed to go through that to understand this side of things, that you really, life can feel vibrant and good. And you can wake up in the morning and feel excited for your day. When
right,
I had lost that, and I think so many women do lose that and think that it's
right,
so, just to get that messaging out there that no, that's not normal. You should feel happy and vibrant and good. Yeah, things might feel a little, we're getting older. I mean,
right.
but honestly, like going down a flight of stairs for me 15 years ago, I was impossible. I had to hold on to everything to make it down the stairs. And now that I'm optimizing my health, my joints feel good, I'm stronger. I can zip right downstairs. I feel much better than I feel at 51 than I did at 35. And I don't think women know that that is possible. So I
Yeah,
think just sharing that, sharing your story, letting people know that we can optimize our health and we can, this second half of life really is the finale. We can feel the best we've
right.
ever felt.
Exactly. And you touched on something really important is I did not ever struggle waking up and getting out of bed. Like it was like I was never the person that needed the 5 cups of coffee. Like I can wake up and go. I need the support of the coffee, an hour into it, but I'm not just like, ooh, but then that started happening to me like, oh, I just want to lay here for a little longer. And then I also, one thing that we haven't really touched on is me working out, right? But then I wasn't seeing the muscle build or the muscle sustain. It's just flying, going somewhere else that I don't know where my muscles are going, but they're just not there. So I need something to help sustain, or the muscle, right? And then my bone mass. Those are the two most important things to me, aside from my health, that as I age I don't want to accidentally fall and then hurt my leg or hurt myself. So that is what I one of my main sole purposes of working out is for, as where I am right now and where I will be when I'm 65. So I want to have my body be supported by my body.
Yeah. And I love that is one of my main platforms, especially when it comes to HRT, because we can, especially we're both athletes coming from a
Right,
place of being very active. Our lifestyle is in check. We eat well, we meditate, we get our sleep, we've got the lifestyle piece. We're doing everything we can. And sometimes those are the little puzzle pieces we need just to ensure those hormones, we need those optimized. We're living much longer than women have ever lived before,
right.
and we need that support. And people, I'll just do it naturally. Well, if you just do it naturally, they naturally just used to die at 55, 56. It's not the way it works anymore. So until our bodies adapt to that, we may need a little help when it comes to some support from some bioidentical hormones and making sure
Right.
that bone mass and that muscle mass is where it needs to be. because we're living vibrant, strong lives, and we may need some support.
Yeah,
Some
and also the new studies that came out too, that it doesn't promote breast cancer and it doesn't increase your heart disease risk. I think that those two things, just hearing that recently, made me think, because heart disease runs in my family, like, okay, this would be the right thing for me. And I think that people are so afraid, like myself. So I think, we've touched on it. We're just telling the real natural story of what it feels like being on the outside looking in.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so many people were scared by the Women's Health Initiative, and that's still the main message that people are receiving, unless they've actually dove in and have really read the research. That's what people
Right.
believe. They believe if they take estrogen, they're going to get breast cancer, which really, if they think about it logically, most women, the highest rates of breast cancer are when your estrogen declines. So if you
Right.
really just look at it logically, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I'm not someone who ever would have taken that deep dive had I not been right here where I am right now today, working with dynamic health. So I would have just paid attention to the studies. None of this would have been available to me. So I think as we're going down this journey together, working with dynamic, the real, like I said, the authentic story of someone who doesn't know, doesn't have the resources, we can bring them into the fold and get them the right treatment. And that I think should be, and I know that is Evan's goal, is healthcare for everyone available worldwide. But what is the messaging, right? So it is getting that right too.
Oh, I love that. I think that's a great place to end. You said it just perfectly. Just perfectly. So, thank you so much for your time here, Jackie. That your story's amazing. I'm glad I waited to hear it because you've been through a lot and you've done a
Yeah.
lot to optimize your health, to get your body through this. So I love that you're on a continued journey and that you were put in the path of dynamic to have those doors and those that availability open to you for your future health.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Maggie. This
I,
has been great. I don't tell my story that often.
you're always just so professional and just right online. So it's nice to dive deep into the Jackie story and see what's
Yeah,
under
because what you always see isn't what is behind the face a lot of the time.
that is. You've been through a lot, and everyone has a story. So it's so fun to see to get to know someone a little better, see what their story is. And
Exactly.
this really is a neat story. Kind of a
Thank
miracle
you.
that you were placed in the path of health and wellness when you've been on this journey. So I
Yeah, and I am sitting here smiling and I'm not depressed.
love that the most. I love that. So
Yeah.
hold tight for a minute. I'm going to end our recording.
Okay.
And I just want to talk to you for just a second, and then we'll hop off the call.
All right, great.